It was a way to help the case move forward, to narrow down some of the speculation. As he put it, that voluntary move might sound like someone trying to cooperate, but to law enforcement and experts, the implications are deeper.
Hey, Paul.
RCMP has acknowledged that they're...
How you doing, love? Hope you've been doing well. Hey, Tony. I'm okay. Everybody throw out prayers for Tanya. Her friend passed away today. And there's a second bit that I want you to throw out a prayer for, and that's Alice. She lost her best friend, Hope. Yeah, I know that feeling too, love. Alice lost her best friend, Hope. And Hope was a family of ours, so she was family. Everybody, keep her and her family in your thoughts, and Alice and her family. She's been on here for a good bit with us. She's been in and out of the hospital. The last time she got to get out, she was definitely on. So, hey, Sheila. Yeah. I hate to hear that, Tanya, and I hate to hear that, Alice. But none of us are going to go to the good Lord ready. And that's a fact. It's trying to go. I don't know, love. I haven't figured that out yet. They both were. Oh, okay. Tanya said both her friend and her husband both died last night. That gum. Well, I hate that. I hate it with a passion. That's right. That's right. They're better off than we are, daggum. All the worry in the world gone. We've been on a Harley all day. I'm sunburnt, but we rode with a bunch of veterans of mine. I'm the daughter of a deceased veteran. Well, thank him very much for his service and for you to hang in there with him while he was doing service. I know that feeling right there, Tanya. I know that feeling. Hey, Lisa. Yeah, be careful, dadgummit. Things start showing up later. You can hurt yourself just little or nothing. Give it a while, and that's when it really starts showing up. It's crazy. It feels like bee stings, too. I had to ride one back from Florida one time. It pouring down rain. Bless you, Patricia. Well, there's one thing about it. Even in life or in death, if your family here, you're stuck. You're not going to be not part of our family just because you got rid of this old body. Mm-mm. No, that dog won't hunt. Yeah. Mm.
Truth Verification Unit is now officially involved in the investigation. While they haven't
I'll
revealed
be
how many
waiting,
people
honey.
were tested or who else took part, Daniel's statement gives us one confirmed name, and the type of questions he was asked cut straight to the heart of.
I don't think so. And the only reason that I say I don't think so is it would be very, very hard for me to pick up a child's energy while still alive. Now, if there's an adult, it's a lot easier for me, but a child is harder. I've heard them call their name. We got a 4-page here of things that they've said that, heck, it's been that a loved one has said. I'd want to believe that they are, most definitely. But we seen pictures and it was described perfectly like we seen. Now, if them may be 2 other children, then we really got something to worry about. Something that's definitely going on there at Daniel's place, if that is indeed 2 other children. That's the trouble with people living in rural areas like that. But as of right now, no, I do not think they are. And they took the services took the baby from her. So they did some kind of they been texting, and then I guess they called one another. Hey Phyllis, that gummit, been a long time. How you doing, love? Goodness. Hope you're doing well. Oh, I know where they know where they're at. Yeah, no doubt for that. But I do believe that they are done past. He could have been. He could have been, and if so, then that's why it would have been so easy for him to speak. Everybody that was here these times for Jack and Lily heard his little voice say his own name. Went through a lot, but it's getting better. Bless you, love. Uh, okay, Pamela, be careful. Oh yeah, yeah, I remember. Hmm. It's very sad. It's very sad. There ain't no way around it. There's 16 on and 8 likes. The one sitting in the back, at least hit the like button. Um, According to some people, which I mean it don't make a hell of a difference neither because it won't hold up in court. But it was said that he did not pass no polygraph. But what had happened was he, yeah, good deal. He and her were talking, and I believe the phone was bugged. And that's how come right after that comment in that clip popped up Malaya's text. Right after that, that's when they took the baby. Okay. But now, if you already hit the like, if you hit it again, it'll take it off. But anyway, we are almost at, we are at 2,559, I do believe. I would love to hit the 3,000 mark before the end of the year.
Part of the case. Daniel says he was directly asked whether he was involved in the disappearance of Lily and Jack. This wasn't a routine screening. Chris Lewis, a policing expert and former polygraph examiner with the Ontario Provincial Police, made it clear. Polygraph tests aren't used on casual witnesses.
Did you hear that? Canada is no different than anywhere else when it comes to getting your butt put on a lie detector test. They did not have to call in somebody to do a lie detector test. They do it there just like they do it here.
Or random neighbors. He explained that if they're using it, it's because someone is suspected of being involved, or at least not telling the whole truth. Adding to the gravity of this moment, Daniel revealed that police also confiscated both his and his estranged wife Malaya's cell phones to be forensically examined. This step typically occurs when investigators believe that the devices may contain relevant.
So they didn't give him phones back for 4 or 5 days. So yeah, they went through everything and everything that was deleted. It can say permanent deleted. They can still get it. And I guarantee you, anything that they bugged it before they ever handed it back over. But I guarantee you, when this thing's over, they're not going to need it. No way. They're not smart enough to smash and throw away them phones and get new ones. So that tells you about how ignorant that is.
Possibly incriminating information. So even though Daniel claims he volunteered willingly, the RCMP appears to treat him as more than just a cooperative family member. So what does all of this mean? It tells us that Daniel Martel is not just cooperating, he's under scrutiny. And in a case where silence has weighed heavier than answers, this polygraph admission marks one of the most concrete signals that the investigation is circling those closest to the children. While polygraph results aren't admissible in court, they're often used to guide interrogations and shape investigative direction. At this point, Daniel is trying to present himself as transparent and helpful. But in the eyes of law enforcement, his proximity to the children, the timeline inconsistencies, and now his polygraph involvement suggest that he remains a person of significant interest. Daniel Martel, the stepfather of Lily and Jack Sullivan, has remained unusually vocal since the children's disappearance. In a series of recent interviews, he shared his emotions, frustrations, and hopes, offering a glimpse into the man caught in the center of suspicion. But his words do more than aim to show his grief. They carefully shape a portrait of someone who wants to be seen as stable, involved, and above all, innocent. He starts by painting a picture of a broken home. He said that. Going from a family of 7 to just me, I have nothing but time to just think. Daniel also revealed that he's lost custody of his biological daughter, Meadow. He said that.
See, that wouldn't happen for no good reason. I don't care how goofy somebody is, they would know that they're not going to lose all contact to their child unless they've done something bad. And probably more than once. Mine does it all the time too. Mine will start doing all that lagging and I have to cut it. Thank God last night didn't do it. Pray tonight don't do it neither.
I haven't even got to see my own kids. Not even Meadow yet. But I'm still hopeful. Still, he tries to hold on to something positive. He mentioned upcoming supervised visits arranged by CPS, as if to say, I'm still in this. I haven't given up. Throughout his interviews, one theme repeats: Daniel wants people to know he cares. I just want everybody to focus outward. Focus on the kids. The
Who
kids are the
cares?
main priority, and that'll never change. It's a statement that sounds like something any loving parent would say.
It's
But
done
given
out
the
of the bag
context,
now.
the rumors, suspicions, it's also a reminder. A way of saying, don't look at me. Look at what really matters. He also commented on the investigation. He thanked the public for sending in tips, even while expressing disbelief that nothing concrete has been found. It's kind of mind-boggling that there's not been any evidence at all. There's genuine confusion in those words, but
just the other day, 3 to 4 days ago, maybe 5, they found that little arbor like built in the woods there, not too far from the house, that had some clothing in it and whatnot and stuff. And then they walked alongside that pipeline there and found them 2 children. I bet his heart was about to pump out his chest. Flag Day today, yeah.
there's also distance. It's the voice of someone who can't, or won't, explain what happened. Someone
He
who,
won't.
despite living in the middle of it, claims to know as little as anyone else. At one point, Daniel made a more personal statement, one that feels like a reflection of identity. I want to go back to the old Daniel. That version of himself, he implies, was a better man, a decent father, someone whose name didn't come up in conversations about missing children. Now, with the community watching and the police digging, he seems to want not just redemption, but erasure of the damage already done. Finally, Daniel reminded people that he volunteered for a polygraph test. He says he
Give
was the
him a
first to do
cookie.
so. I know it'd be a big help in the case. Just provide more evidence. This wasn't a man being dragged in by investigators. It was someone stepping forward, according to his own account. He wants the world to know he's not hiding, that he's cooperating, that whatever doubts may surround him, he's doing what he can to clear his name. In
Till the
total,
water gets
Daniel's
too hot.
statements present a complex emotional picture. There's sorrow, there's fear, but there's also intention. He wants the benefit of the doubt, and he wants it publicly. Whether his words are sincere or strategic, that's something only time and the investigation can answer. In conclusion, Daniel Martel's voluntary polygraph test might appear, at first glance, like a bold move, something only an innocent person would do. But in the context of how law enforcement handles these tools, it tells a very different story. According to former polygraph examiner Chris Lewis, these tests aren't wasted on irrelevant witnesses or distant bystanders. If someone is tested, it's because they're suspected. Period. So while Daniel insists he offered to take the test first to help the case, the very act of testing him signals that RCMP considers him a serious person of interest. It narrows the circle, not widens it. And there's more. Daniel confirmed that both his phone and his estranged wife Malaya's phone were seized by police. That's not standard procedure unless investigators suspect those devices hold something key: location data, deleted messages, or contradictions to their statements. The seizure implies real suspicion and suggests police are cross-referencing digital evidence with their interviews. Daniel's behavior after the fact also raises questions. He hasn't turned to major news outlets like CBC or CTV. Instead, he's made emotional appeals through small YouTube creators and community-driven channels. It seems less about transparency and more about controlling the narrative. By carefully selecting where and how he speaks, Daniel shapes the version of himself that the public sees, that the concerned stepfather, the man left alone, the one who still wants to go back to the old Daniel. Yet, what's missing in all these appearances is raw emotion. No breaking voice, no visible heartbreak. His words come measured, logical, controlled, almost like a PR campaign rather than a desperate cry from a grief.
The day that they found them remains and them items that they bagged up and sent off for analysis, that photo they took that day of him was the first day I really seen him really cry. That wasn't because of Jack and Lily. That's because he already knows he's in hot water. When you're caught, you got all kind of emotion running out. You can't think of nothing but the bad. And you could see it all over his face that day. And I bet Malaya hadn't shed one tear about it.
Parent. He repeats that the kids are the priority, but rarely shows the kind of emotional collapse most people expect in a case this devastating. Legally, the consequences have already begun. Daniel lost custody of his own biological daughter, Meadow. That kind of intervention by CPS doesn't happen lightly. It suggests underlying concerns about the home environment, concerns serious enough to separate a father from his child, even while he's pleading for the return of two others. Psychologically, Daniel.
See, they don't just do that for no reason. I mean, why is he so blinded by that? Yeah, I mean, when your children are taken, your own children, when they're taken, and whoever you're with, they can't be around that baby either. He makes it out to be like it's some kind of front page news. Listen, this fella's got rattles at the end of his tail, probably 16 buttons. But he can't be that dumb. Yeah, that's right. He can't be that daggone dumb. He knows why they took him, and he knows why he can't see them. As he tries to be all intelligent and everything, and be on screen and telling this, telling that he's trying this and he's trying that, thinking he's helping himself. But like the guy just said, he's not. He's digging himself a hole because everything he said is a lie. He claimed that he was ahead of the drones and ahead of the helicopters and everything and stuff. And what he didn't realize is when he was coming out of the woods, the sheriff pulled up at the same time, and his clothes was completely dry. But he was over waist deep in them swamps looking for them kids. A bunch of crap, what that is. Now, he can play dumb all he wants to, but if they fall for it up there, that's ignorant.
Daniel's public statements reveal something deeper. He appears isolated, possibly depressed, describing himself alone in a once crowded house with nothing but time to just think. This isn't just grief, it's a shift in self identity from stepfather of five to a man on the outside looking in. His words reflect a need for image restoration, to distance himself from blame, to project moral clarity, to remind the world that he
Yeah.
cares.
Hey, Gregory.
But there's also a strategic element in how he speaks. Phrases like, I appreciate every tip, or it's mine,
If you like this kind of
that there's not
content,
been any
Gregory,
evidence,
hit
serve a
the
dual
subscribe
function.
button, hit
They
the
show
like button.
cooperation, but they also subtly redirect doubt. If he sounds as puzzled as the public, maybe the public won't question him. If he emphasizes confusion, maybe suspicion will move elsewhere. In multiple instances, Daniel subtly shifts focus toward Malaya. He never accuses her outright, but hints.
But see, it still ain't told from Malaya and her bunch what. Okay, cool. What is been told from Malaya against him, that she knew that she would be awarded custody of them kids and him not. So that still ain't put out to the public, you know. But he knows why. But he's trying to make it look like, well, I'm the good guy here. So like he was fixing to try to say here, he ain't blame Malaya for nothing. But that's a bunch of bull, because he ain't done nothing but try to cover for her. I put anything on it. I guarantee you that's what was going on. I believe he had some bad past with something to do with a child, and with Malaya not being in the home, they gave all rights to be taken away from him. Then again, he may have already had that type warning. You can't be around children, and he could have. Yeah, it's just an idea. He could have suggested doing something to these children if she decided to leave. You know, we talked about that the other day. There's so many things that it could be, but every page, we got 4 full pages, and every one of them says because of their anger. They used the word ice, which is drugs. I believe meth was being used a pretty good bit. And people that are on drugs and pills and whatnot, they snap easy. They just act stupid because they're not themselves. And you take somebody that can't get nothing for a few days, they're going to flip out anyway. No matter what has happened, he's trying to cover for it. But like I said, he just like a dog chasing his own tail. You know, he ain't wanting to tell the truth, but he wants to act like he's the innocent villain here, but just not give too much information. So, if anybody believes a word out of his mouth, that's just ignorant. And Malaya leaving the same morning that her children went missing, I wouldn't be able to see how anybody could have any use for her, period, or trust or believe the word she says. I know I wouldn't. He may have been told not to be around them children. I don't know. Maybe that's what the scuffle was in the beginning. Her family didn't want her to be with him, and for a reason. So I don't know. I have no idea. But there's a motive on both sides for this, which is not a good excuse. But I mean, a lot of people do this for a lot less, you know.
That odd behavior, or implies she might be hiding something. This form of guilt projection is often seen in people under pressure, those trying to deflect attention without seeming accusatory. It's defensive
Yeah.
psychology dressed in polite concern. In the end, Daniel's polygraph test marked him not as someone cleared, but someone still in the center of a widening investigation. His tech devices were
See, they didn't want to step right out, start off with, and say, he passed when he said it was in his favor. Well, this guy right here just said it wouldn't. So, it's time to stop lying, okay, and just get it out. I know that they're worried of spending the rest of their life in prison. But it don't make no difference. If you've done something to harm a child, at least be a woman or a man enough to accept your punishment. No matter how it looks, that's over with. In 4 or 5 years, they won't even worry with him no more, or her. Except for us having to pay for them being in there. But, they're just beating around the bushes, just making this thing lag on and on. That's good. That's good. Yeah, I bet he wasn't supposed to be around any children unless he was married into it. I'm not done too much on his background, but I guarantee you it's got something to do with children. I seen there was one thing up some YouTuber put up, it had him in cuffs talking, I guess, about his past history. I don't know, but I don't aim to watch other YouTubers like that and paranormal stuff. I do my own. So you're probably right.
His children were taken from him, his emotions accurated, and his public strategy walks the line between self-defense and self-promotion.
Haven't tried new Parmesan stuffed crust?
On June 11, 2025, RCMP released a significant update on the investigation into the disappearance of 6-year-old Lily Sullivan and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan. After weeks of silence, authorities officially confirmed that polygraph tests had been administered as part of their ongoing efforts. This was the first time the RCMP acknowledged the involvement of their Truth Verification Unit, a clear sign that the case is advancing beyond general leads into targeted investigative territory. RCMP CPL Guillaume Tremblay stated publicly that their polygraph specialists were engaged and currently reviewing responses from individuals tested. However, police did not disclose who had taken the test, how many were administered, or what the results were. They emphasized that withholding this information was necessary to preserve the investigation's integrity and to protect the anonymity of those involved. Chris Lewis, a former polygraph examiner with the Ontario Provincial Police, and now a policing expert with CTV, weighed in on the news. According to Lewis, polygraphs are only used when someone is under genuine suspicion, not for casual witnesses or bystanders. He explained, "You don't do polygraph tests on people who just heard or saw something. If they're tested, they're suspected." This perspective added weight to the idea that anyone subjected to a polygraph is considered by police to be a person of interest.
Didn't he say everyone? She said, "Is it not true that you're having somebody to fly in with a polygraph? Is that just for you? He said, no, he says for every one of us, for everybody. Who all in the heck's everybody? Bless you, love. You know, okay, got her mom, his brother, his cousin. I don't know about the rest of her family. I mean that's 5 right there, and they're not saying nothing about anybody else doing one. Yeah, it's been storming here too. 1,000 wonders I've been able to be on this long. So no, there ain't nothing going in his favor. And I figured that even if he did do a lot of that, I'm sure they were told, don't reveal this until we're ready to get it revealed. That's why he used it went in my favor. But just 10 seconds ago said it wasn't going in his favor. And not so much lame terms, you know what I mean? We talked about that the other day too. They'll talk these sophisticated words that a lot of us can't understand. Well, break it down to slow people like me, dadgummit, and it wasn't playing out in his favor. And they're not telling who all else took one. You can't be forced to take one. They've done said that 1,000 times. And with Malaya not wanting to talk to anybody or do anything, it wouldn't surprise me a bit if she turned it down. I mean, her end of the deal is just about ignorant as it gets. No, he don't want to be solo. He wants to take everybody down with him when he goes. May have. I did see a picture with more children there too. A baby and Jack and Lily and 2 others. Yeah, that's about right.
RCMP Staff's G. Rob McCammon made it clear that no theory has been ruled out. He said that all scenarios are being considered, and we've engaged every tool and resource at our disposal. He further emphasized that missing persons cases are automatically treated as suspicious until proven otherwise, reinforcing the seriousness.
Like I said too, you know, a lot of this, even the DNA factor on the items, the bodies, they're gonna try to hold that until they can get them in custody, and they're gonna go before a grand jury regardless. And they want to be able to put as much on them all at one time and just case closed kind of deal. Once they bring it to court, they don't want to drag it out because neither one's got anything to show that they didn't do it. I mean, there's not one word that's came from them or their families that says, hey, they didn't do it. Their own families are not backing them up. And that's showing red flags right there. Yeah, so he made the bed, she made the bed, they gonna have to lay in it. Daggone.
With which the disappearance of Lily and Jack is being handled. The case has now expanded to a national scale. More than 11 RCMP units in Nova Scotia are involved, along with support from the National Centre for Missing Persons, the Canadian Centre for Child Protection, and law enforcement agencies at both provincial and municipal levels. This kind of collaboration signals a deep, Resource: intensive commitment to solving the case. Police confirmed that Lily and Jack were last seen on the morning of May 2 at their home on Gairloch Road in Lansdowne Station, Nova Scotia. The day before, on May 1, the children were spotted in public with family members.
That
These
was not
sightings helped
proven.
narrow the timeline for investigators, but haven't yet led to any breakthroughs.
That has
Five
not
curve
been
sensing
brought
blades that
public
follow every part of your body.
or proven. That has not been proven. Period.
Received 488 public tips and collected hundreds of hours of video footage from the surrounding area. They specifically request
What has been proven is, that neighbor might get in trouble herself. I don't know. Maybe they'll let her off, but she ended up handing over the chips from the trail cams. She went ahead and gave them to the sheriff. They got that, but they do not, nobody have proof that they were seen in public that day. It's been said that they were, but there's no proof of it. Whatever happened late Thursday night, early Friday morning, because after that rigmarole with his family and her family deal, this and that and other, she cut out. Why would you leave the day that you need to be out trying to find your children? There shouldn't be nothing more important than that, period. That's unfit. That's a piss poor excuse for a mom or a woman, period. So this little cat and mouse chase deal they trying to talk about, seeing them kids in public, that's a damn lie. Even the school bus driver said that they hadn't seen them. Last time they seen them was on a Tuesday, the week before, because they hadn't been to school all week. Yeah, they guilty, both of them, and they can fool some people, but they ain't gonna fool me. Dadgummit. That they done caught. And if they try to talk to one another again, it's just gonna get twisted up more. And that's what the authorities want. They want them to just keep twisting. That way they have more to go on in court. They got enough. They've got DNA. Yeah, it's going to take a little bit to get back. That's the only thing they're waiting on. But them children were not seen in public, period. Even people that lived just down from them before you come to the next road said they've never seen the kids out walking up and down that road or playing out or anything. Said they stayed in more than any. Even the woman across the street said plainly, she said that for a long time we didn't even know that they even had children. Why you keep a child bound up in the house for no reason? I believe there was neglect. I believe that there was a lot of punishment going on that would bother you physically, mentally, everything. The good Lord seen that coming, and he took it away. That's no way for a child or anybody to have to live. I mean, if you look at them pictures of Jack and Lily, her being 6-year-old, she looks awful little to be at 6-year-old, especially weight-wise. Yeah, okay, look. Yeah, you're right, Paula. I mean, actions always speak louder than words. Her running off to mommy didn't do nothing but set the guilty trip right there. Him trying to be in front of the camera every time you turn around. That ain't nothing but trying to stay out of hot water. But it's just not working because nothing's lining up. The things that they found, you got to remember now, the items that were found, of course, he's saying that it don't belong to Jack or Lily. What other kids was around? What other kids would be in maybe 100 yards in the woods behind their house playing? What, they gonna go in there and take her clothes off and build a hut and well, that's just stupid. They did that to throw off direction again. I don't know why in the world authorities are so ignorant. Yeah. So, and I explained it too, just so you would know what to look for when we watched that. It's like a little arbor, just something to get in and play in. We did it when I was a kid. Yeah. And, found a sock, found her blanket. They found one of her muddy boots under the sofa in the living room. And them undies had blood in them. I don't know why they don't. Well, I do too. I know why they ain't already snatched them up, because they know there's more than what's being said, and they want the full thing before they snatch them up. But they're already good as gone, and I'm pretty sure they'll never see light of day again. Which that's good enough.
Video from Gairloch Road between 12 p.m. on April 28 and 12 p.m. on May 2. RCMP also secured judicial authorizations to search and analyze personal devices, suggesting a forensic dive into phones, texts, images, and GPS data. The physical search for Lily and Jack has been massive. The initial air and ground operation covered 5.5 square kilometers of rugged, wooded terrain. It involved hundreds of searchers, police dogs, helicopters, and even divers. That search was scaled back after 5 days, but targeted operations resumed on May 8, 9, 17, 1831, and June 1. Most recently, 78 trained personnel combed areas near Gairloch Road and a nearby pipeline, where a boot print had once been discovered. The RCMP continues to urge anyone with knowledge about the children's disappearance to come forward. People can contact the Northeast Nova RCMP Crime Unit directly or submit anonymous tips through Nova Scotia Crime Stoppers. Well, the message from investigators is,
look at it this way right here. If, say, you had a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, and so they running around the house, he just in diapers, her probably in pajamas or something. And then something happened, and you get up and there's no children. But yet you start finding things in the backyard. You start changing this, changing that on your devices. Then you find bloody underwear, socks, blankets. And then you find a little arbor built out in the woods with DNA in it, some clothing. If you don't come clean and say, hey, something happened here, You know, that's the way it should have been. And say, I was asleep, but I'll talk to you. I'll do everything you want me to do. But look, hey, I was asleep. So I can't tell you what they're wearing because I don't know. But he claims he was asleep and still knows what they're wearing. Every little bitty thing he says, every one of them is a dadgum lie. I mean, and yes, her actions are speaking louder than words. She didn't want them children. She won't. I guarantee you, they just want drugs, and everybody else just leave them the hell alone. And that's about what cracks up the case. So, yeah, it's going to be a criminal case because that none of their junk upholds nothing. If somebody come by and kidnapped them, they'd have seen it on that footage. Thank God that woman finally went ahead and gave them chips. So there wasn't nobody that come and got them. There was no kidnapping. And on the evidence from the chips does show with them going out toward the woods and whatnot. I don't know how far in they went, but it shows a good bit of that, and some squirrels and whatnot. And their timeline is completely off because she said tell them 8:50, then 9:50, and then 10:50. But that dog won't hunt neither because they hadn't been to school with it a week before this, and the school bus driver, and the principal said so. So I believe they were already in a mess a week prior to this, and that's why there's not that substantial footage on them chips on them cameras. Maybe she changes hers out once a week or every 2 weeks. But most of the time, if you're a hunter or whatnot, you leave them out all season. But maybe they just do it to watch for bear and whatever coming up. But, you know, they both liars. They can't get it together. Yeah, because, day before yesterday, or three or 4 days ago, they went back in and dug in the house in the trailer, and they got more items to do DNA with. That's the whole point of going back and redoing, to throw it off from the public that they're just going to restart a new search. No. They're just saying that to throw everybody off. All they want to do, they found evidence out there in the woods. Now they want to go back in the house and get some pieces and match it up in the forensics. And if it matches up, they're like that. They're burnt. Yeah. He's yeah, you got that right, Sabina. Yeah. That dog won't hunt there. Man, there's a lie and then there's a lie. You know what I mean? If you take a chunk out of a piece of cake, somebody says, well, somebody ate the cake, and you say, I don't know who did that. Well, that's the first person spoke up. That's going to be the guilty one. There's a lie, and then there's lies. But in this instance, we're dealing with 2 children's lives here. and authorities, they know what they're doing in a sense, because they're gathering up everything they can before they grab them, so they'll have all that to take to court. That way they can't do no kind of mistrials because there wasn't enough proof. I mean, that's what investigators are all about, is facts. Well, that's good. That's good. That's what you need to do from the get-go instead of wasting time. That's why I said she may still get in trouble for tampering with evidence or obstruction anyway.
Clear no detail is too small, and the case remains active and high priority. Linked to the confirmation for Daniel's polygraph test, there's a clear overlap in timing and content between it and the RCMP's June 11 update. In the RCMP's official communication, they confirmed that a number of the 54 individuals interviewed in connection with the disappearance of Lilly and Jack Sullivan had undergone polygraph testing. Although they did not name any of those individuals, Daniel had already publicly stated that he was the first to volunteer for a test. This suggests his claim is credible, especially since RCMP has not refuted the idea that someone among those questioned took a polygraph. However, the RCMP deliberately avoided confirming anyone's identity, as stated by CP Pell Tremblay that, "We can't disclose how many people have or will be administered a polygraph test." This silence can be interpreted in two ways. On one hand, it aligns with procedural integrity, keeping suspects anonymous to avoid compromising the case. On the other, it may reflect a strategic decision to avoid validating Daniel's narrative, especially.
So the only one that is not there avoiding is his cousin. I wonder how that plays factor. And I've said where he took a lot of detector tests tonight, but the phone calls and the texting they're getting from his cousin and some from his brother, his older brother.
If he remains a person of interest. This silence becomes even more telling when paired with the comments from policing expert Chris Lewis. Lewis emphasized that polygraphs are not administered to just anyone. As mentioned in the confirmation, in this context, Daniel's polygraph participation doesn't exonerate him. It potentially confirms that he's a serious focus of the investigation. So far, Daniel is the only individual publicly known to have taken the test, intensifying the spotlight on him. Moreover, the RCMP's update mentioned having obtained numerous judicial authorizations to seize and examine materials and devices. Daniel previously acknowledged that both his and his estranged wife Malaya's phones had been confiscated by investigators. That aligns closely with the RCMP's actions and points to a broader strategy targeting their digital data, calls, texts, GPS locations, and
say they won't bring that out until court date.
fit. Physical evidence pointing outside. There's no camera footage or witness accounts. What remains is the unsettling possibility that the abduction happened quietly, from within. The person responsible may have already been in the house that night, or was someone the children trusted enough not to raise a fuss. Lastly, this theory is unofficially supported by RCMP's own strategic shift.
Yeah, they
The
done
case has
threw
moved
out
from
the
a
abduction.
missing person perspective from the Mi'kmaq community. From the viewpoint of an elder within the Mi'kmaq community, the theory that Lilly and Jack Sullivan simply wandered off is not only implausible, it's absurd. Drawing from lived experience and cultural intuition, the speaker emphasizes that 6-year-old Lilly would never have let her younger brother, Jack, stray into the thick forest alone. In the damp, cold weather of early May, With snow still recently reported in nearby Cobequid, it would have been far more natural for the children to walk down the road rather than into the woods. And if they had entered the forest, especially Lily, their cries would have been heard. There was no sound, no trace, but beyond the improbability of the wandered off scenario, what raised even more concern was the conspicuous absence of active search involvement by the Brooks family, particularly members like Henrik's, Malaya's father, a known expert in hunting and tracking. In a case where every second counted, the silence and inactivity from a family known to be caring and protective triggered quiet suspicion in the local community. If the family truly believed the children were out there in the woods, nothing would have kept them from searching unless they already knew the children weren't there.
Exactly.
The speaker offers critical cultural and historical context. The Brooks family, part of the long-standing Mi'kmaq Paul lineage, is well known in Nova Scotia, not just for their artistic talents, but for their close-knit, guarded nature and a rebellious stance toward police and governmental authority. This protective instinct, especially toward family, is deep-rooted. Past incidents, like those involving David Brooks, Brad Brooks, and Stanley Brooks, all reinforce this narrative. The family doesn't easily yield to outside systems. They resist. Adding emotional weight is the unsolved case of Tanya Brooks, a member of the same family, whose 2009 murder remains a painful symbol of systemic neglect toward Indigenous women. Despite multiple theories about who killed her, and even public knowledge of potential suspects, no arrests have ever been made. The failure to deliver justice for Tanya reflects a broader reality: thousands of missing and murdered.
Tanya. Wonder if that's the female that's talking for Jack and Lily. If she went missing too.
Indigenous women and girls whose cases remain unresolved. Officially, over 4,000 Dido are acknowledged by the government, with Amnesty International estimating that number closer to 11,000, figures that are 4 times higher than the national average. It's within this cultural backdrop that the speaker poses a powerful and unapologetic answer to a frequently asked question. Why would the family hide the children? To Indigenous families, especially young mothers, that question itself is insulting. The answer lies in a generational trauma, the legacy of the 60s scoop, and its modern continuation, known as the Millennium Scoop. These were government-backed practices of disproportionately removing Indigenous children from their homes, often without solid justification, under the guise of child welfare. In this environment, hiding one's children isn't criminal, it's protective. It's cultural survival. The speaker shares first-hand accounts of Indigenous mothers who have recently lost their children to the system due to weak or arbitrary reasons, like a father's suicide. It's not paranoia, it's history repeating itself. Within the Mi'kmaq community, it is understood, if there is a risk of children being scooped, you hide them, often with other family members. Silence. And if not, what leads are being followed? The refusal to clearly engage these questions only deepens suspicions. At the heart of these concerns lies the belief that had the children been white and from a wealthy suburban neighborhood, the response.
Because they're wanting to hold all the evidence, all the information they got, until they know that they can go get them, have all their evidence ready for court, and then just lay it on them. Hey, Connie. Always cooking something, ain't you, Tony? I'm starting to get a little hungry myself. She gets off at 9 tonight, so sorry I didn't get to come on last night, but light kept flickering off and on. We had storms all night last night, and for hours today it's been thundering and carrying on. Apparently, it's easy around here, power to get knocked out. Yeah. Again, don't forget, guys, if any of you want any of these tumblers or some jewelry or some JSV joggers and things, we need some help here. If you want to donate, you, like I said, you can hit the cash app, whatever. Only way we're going to be able to keep my truck is if we go ahead and put full coverage. They're not accepting my liability, so we've got to get it changed over by Thursday. So if anybody wants anything, necklaces, bracelets, these tumblers, some shirts, whatever, hit me up. Let me know. I've got to be able to have proof of that full coverage insurance by Thursday evening, by 5 o'clock. They're not giving us much time. I thank you guys. Love every one of you, and I'll see you tonight.